Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. We have Professor TV Rao who would be joining us soon. There is a bit of a tech glitch where he got stuck, so he's joining very soon. Our tech team is helping him to get him in quickly, and deeply appreciate all of you joining. And it's really a pleasure on behalf of Kocharya to welcome all of you. And as all of you know, Professor T.V. Rao is ex-professor at IIM Ahmedabad and also known as one of the pioneers of human resources in India. I am sharing this in his absence he said, don't call me father of HRD in India, call me one of the pioneers. So how humble he is that all of you know. Professor T.V. Rao has written more than 100 plus books, and he is really an institution builder in himself. He set up National HRD Network and host of other institutions which are truly remarkable. Plus, he also has seen several institutions getting built, and also he has taught several institution builders. So this topic came up in our discussion when I met him about 6-8 months back. And then from there, the whole conversation set up between us and Ram, who is founder of Kocharya, that where are these institution builders of tomorrow will come from? I'm setting this context so that when he comes, we can straight away get into the conversation with him. But the context of today's session is this, that the institutions who were built over so many years, are they good enough to serve us in the future? Plus, those institution builders had some special traits. Spirituality was one of them. But Professor Rao has his own definition about spirituality that he will talk to us on, and how the institution builders for tomorrow, how do we create them? Where will they come from? What is the role of purpose? What is the role of spirituality? And what is the role of coaching in building institutions? So as we are celebrating International Coaching Week, today's conversation is going to be focusing on how do you use spirituality and coaching in building institutions, using some of the real life examples and Professor Rao's profound wisdom of so many years of experience and guiding and inspiring all of us. Yeah. So just by the time he joins in, I would request Yamini to check with Denz once that hope he's joining is smooth and he's here with us soon. So Yamini, if you could check that in the background and let us know. And in the meantime, just wanted to check with all of you that what do you think is the role that institution plays? Number of institutions, whatever you call, you remember as an institution, what is the role that institutions play in our nation building? So any responses in the chat box will be more than welcome.
I'm glad finally we could get connected. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, Professor Rao, you are very, very visible, clearly, and audible also.
Oh, I'm very sorry. Somehow I have too many gadgets here, and I think too many IDs, and then it creates confusion. Sorry to have
no problem. No problem, Dr. Rao. Every moment with you, whatever moments we are destined to get with you, we are very happy to get. We have people joining us, by the way, from across the world, across the continents. And I have already set the context with them and we are ready to listen from you. And is it okay if I start with a few questions and then we take it forward from there?
Oh, wonderful. Yes, start.
Okay. Okay. So, sir, I was mentioning about our conversation a few months back, and we were talking about institution building and institution builders and what role one-on-one coaching, team coaching can play. And from there on, the element of spirituality came in.
Yes.
So, yeah, so I wanted to check with you. You mentioned that actually you have your own definition, which is you said that being spiritual is actually nothing which is out of this world. Being spiritual is about being human. So would you like to explain to us and expand on that?
Well, actually, this has a little bit of a story of human resource development. I think in mid 70s we started HRD with a systems approach, in which we said that the ultimate purpose of human resource development is to create happiness at work. Those
Mhm.
days we didn't use the term happiness, we used the term commitment, but subsequently happiness, joy, and other things came into existence. They are more or less same. If employees have to be committed and enjoy their job and give their best, they have to be treated humanly, and you need somebody to do this. And that is how we created a human resource development department and identified a few tools. These were performance appraisal. Now we don't like the term appraisal. We call it performance development, performance management, career planning, feedback, and counseling. Later, counseling became coaching and things like that. So, what happened between 1975 and let's say 1995, 2 decades later, we discovered people use our systems, but use systems for their own sake and forget the purpose of the systems. The purpose is to make people enjoy their work. That is what it was. That is when I wrote an article saying that performance appraisal is not for target setting alone. I think the rather than the format of appraisal, the spirit of appraisal is important. That is where I think the human spirit came into existence. What is human actually? When you look at human resources are human. Human. To be human means what? To respect each other, isn't it? You respect each other. So when do you respect people around you? You respect people when you respect yourself, right? You should be very secure kind of a person. When you respect yourself, you discover a lot in you. And when you respect others, you create circumstances where you help others to give their best. And I think it's a mutual kind of a coexistence and so on. So what does human involve? Human involves mutual respect and empowering each other,
Mhm.
right? And creating a world where we can coexist by getting the best out of each one of us, self as well as others. And ultimately, for what? For peace and for happiness. So, HRD is for peace, or for that matter, anything. Coaching is for peace, coaching is
Mhm.
for happiness. Now, I said institutions, when we were discussing, institutions are great places where we can teach people to be human. That means spirituality. Uh, you look at what are the institutions we have: schools, colleges, universities, then hospitals, financial institutions, which are banks and other institutions which finance people to again lead a purposeful life, government institutions. Okay. Exclude normally what we talk of organizations, all institutions which are set up with a purpose. The purpose is to serve each other, serve others. I think our institutions now see the innumerable number of that number pass through these institutions. So when I say, I think teach people in these institutions to be human. Every child, every college student, everyone needs to be human. That means develop self-respect, respect for others, respect for everyone, around. Teachers to respect children, children to respect teachers,
Mhm.
parents, so on. So that is what I say. Spirituality in institutions means being more human. Respect. Spirit comes from within. I think that is what I hope that makes the conversation clear. I think
Absolutely.
to be human is means to be spiritual. It is the human beings who operate with spirit, who can generate spirit. Spirit means that gives movement, motivation, values, all these kind of things.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, makes sense. I think that's very nice.
We are sorry for this inconvenience. We'll continue the conversation. Then, in case you are able to hear me, um, he will call you on your phone, and is that possible that you could loop him in through audio? And he is very much willing to continue with the conversation. Okay. Yeah. So this is yes, Anshul. I acknowledge that. And Spiritual Indian Corporate. It's a very nice book to read. And this in the power of moments. What this Heath brothers are talking about is that there are some moments in life which we remember throughout our lifetime, even on the last breaths we remember. So, what are those moments? They say that the moments where you felt elevated, and the acronym is EPIC. Okay, the moments where you felt elevated, the moments where you had sense of pride, the moments where you had insights. I is insights, and C is where you felt connection. Okay. So in that book, because we are in the topic of institution building, and we are also talking about spirituality here. So spirituality has one of the connotation, and that connotation is how one is purpose driven, how one is selfless, and how one is believing in the power which is higher than them. So when they have these belief systems or traits or qualities exhibited, then they go for something which is surrendering. Because if I am creating institution, if I anybody who is looking to create institution, the contribution of sacrifice cannot be underrated. Yeah, absolutely. Anshul would be more than happy. I really wish. Uh, uh, Den's just wanted to check, is it possible to get Anshul on the speakers panel, please? Because there's a wonderful insight that is there in the book. And if it is possible to get her on speakers panel. Yeah. So, so while we are at it, when we think about sacrificing purpose driven, okay, somebody who is other centered, we in coaching we talk about client centered. So, so these, hi Anshul. Yes, Anshul. So your thoughts on
Mhm.
spirituality and institution building.
Uh, uh, so this book that I wrote has been after researching on workplace spirituality for 7 years. I did my MPhil and PhD on this particular subject,
Mhm.
and TV Rao sir I had met recently, and he had mentored me of how to take it forward. So I am a student of his only, so I am a part of his
I
learnings.
know, I know.
So yeah, so the thought is that there has to be four principles that workplace spirituality works on. That is,
Mhm.
finding meaning in life through work, having connectedness at your values and organizational values matching, and having compassion at So when the institutes work on these principles of spirituality at workplace, that is when spirituality contributes to the institution building. And institution, as it was rightly being discussed, so it can be schools and colleges. Yes, it has to start from schools and colleges. Then, then it goes to the workplace, that's, the corporates or anywhere that you're working. And so it cannot be, implemented, or it cannot be taken forward by the institute itself also in today's world, even if, like some people were saying, that it has to be the CEO's call. More than that, it has to be a central call, and the institutions built nationally. So it has to be a nation's calling, that we have to have spiritual workplaces, then it percolates down everywhere. So, institution building and spirituality always has to come from the top, from the highest way that you can. If it's an institute, then it's the CEO. If it's the nation, it has to be the government. And we have to have both top and bottom approach. So it is an interaction of individual spirituality and the organizational spirituality. And yeah, there are scales also. Thankfully, there are scales also to measure spirituality in institutions. It's just
Wow.
that these, yes. So I have a second book also coming. It has those scales. So these scales have only remained in the academics up till now. So my book is the first book in the Indian context that is now bringing it to the real world of implementation, because I thought that what is it doing in my wardrobe in my thesis? It's the need of the hour. So that is how the
Mm.
book came up. And yeah, so as TV Rao sir had also rightly said, when we had met, he had also proposed it 3 years back in one of his YouTube sessions. So it is the need of the hour. It is something that the HR professionals have to look up to as the next way of managing human resources. Something that sir was building on when he started speaking. So, the employees were considered as an extension of machines, and then they were considered as thinking beings, and then they were considered emotional beings. So, it's high time, it's been 20, 30 years that the idea of human at workplace has not changed. And with all these things happening, the AI coming, and the dynamics in which the VUCA world in which we live in, now is the time when we start seeing the spirit of the employees at workplace as the highest form of engagement that we can have. How to do that? So one is that is there in the book, and you can also consult people like me, and there are few others, and TV also, of how to go about it. There are systems and processes that needs to be put in place for its implementation.
Mm.
So yeah, that is the crux of the research that has been done on the topic.
Sure. So, Anshul, I'm quite curious to ask you one question in the same context of institutions, because corporations are institutions. Generally, in corporates, spirituality, etc., it is considered as taboo or something that we are all professionals. We are here to deliver numbers. We all have business strategy, and spirituality is all about uh, running away, going for meditation, going into retreat for a few days is fine. But we can't really integrate spirituality in our day to day. Otherwise, we'll become not not for profit
Okay.
organization.
So that is
So,
that's the major question that comes in. So this workplace spirituality or the corporate spirituality that we are talking of here, it has a direct implication on the bottom line. We are not leaving bottom line anywhere. All we are talking about is an attitude. We are talking about an approach. So this is a proper an HROD intervention we are speaking of, wherein we change the attitude of people at work, and we change the attitude of the employer at work. So when they mix in, what happens is the employee is engaged to the highest level. The employee obviously is working for money. The company is working to make profits. It is not becoming an NGO at all. It's just that the systems and processes are in such a manner that they are at peace. And the highest form of engagement when we have, it leads to sustained competitive advantage for the organization. Because what happens is, like I am there and there are 10 more people, we are unique individuals. And when the employer is able to tap the uniqueness within us, that is a competitive advantage that the employer has vis-a-vis his or her competitor, because these people are not there over there. So we are talking about that. We're talking about owning the spirit of the employees. Where sir was starting, he started with the spirit of the employee.
Spirit. Yeah.
So we are tapping the spirit of the employees, and then we are saying that it leads to sustained competitive advantage. Now, the another question that I'm expecting is, there's so many layoffs happening, and all of these, and then it's another way of exploiting people at work, and etc. So here then comes the interaction aspect of the individual and the organizational spirituality. As we said, that it has to come from the top. So when it is in the culture of the organization, even if the company is not doing good, if there are layoffs to be done, there's a heads up given. There's a severance given. It's been done in a more dignified manner. It's a reality in which we are all operating. But the way of doing it makes it a spiritual workplace or not a spiritual workplace. We're not talking about, people going for meditation and yoga. All that can be done for your individual growth and your individual peace. What we are talking of about the attitude at work, which is engaging to the spirit of the employees and the employers.
Yeah, absolutely. Anshul, very, 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 very well said. And I deeply appreciate, first of all, you picking up such topic, which I'm sure the amount of resistance that you would have faced to even uh, set up your research methodology and getting the whole research piece in. And then you are writing second book. You're already written, so that's amazing.
So I am very, very thankful to my university, that is Christ University, Bangalore, India, to have given me the opportunity, the guidance, and the grit to do a research on a topic like this. They really hailed the topic, and they're still supporting. So the entire credit goes to my guide, Dr. Aarti Arun Kumar, and my college, that's Christ University, Bangalore. So yes, it was a tough research, and getting it through to people is even tougher.
Okay. Okay. Sure. And on that note, we have a question from Madhulika. If it is okay for you, I think you will be the right
Oh,
person
sure,
to
sure.
answer that.
Yes,
Okay.
not a
So,
problem.
yeah, so Madhulika says that she wants to understand that how is the actual reception of this term spiritual in Indian multinationals or corporates or PSUs in any institution. When you bring it in, how do they respond? Especially anything is impacting on the organizational culture, etc.
So, so these international organizations, etc., when we approach them, the first reaction is it is good, but does it has an impact on the bottom line? That's the first question that comes in. So we answer that yes, it has an impact. Is it measurable? So our answer is yes, it is measurable. So as a part of implementing spirituality at work, we have been actively working on three-pronged approach, wherein we have people from the government policy making, wherein we have formed a committee of people, researchers from IITs and IIMs who have spent their life more than me also working on the topic. So we are giving suggestions to the government so that they can have guidelines of how there can be a more humanistic way of managing people at work. So one is that, so that will ease out people, the CEOs, etc., from the institutes, that okay, now there's a guidelines, so now we can take it up. And once it is taken up, then it's a culture. It is like Robert Beniston's 4-minute run. Once he did it, everyone did it. So it's just about breaking that barrier.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Sure. So, Anshul, I don't know whether you will have insight into it, but still, I feel like asking you that when we discussed, as I mentioned with Professor Rao, we mentioned that if you want to create the institutions of tomorrow, you need to have a strong purpose-driven people who are willing to commit, like same thing that you are also talking, but in slightly different manner. But I think we are all on the same page there. So he mentioned that coaching has a significant place in building the institutions of tomorrow, maybe
Exactly.
government, civil society, corporations. So would you have any insight, one-on-one coaching or team coaching will
Yes.
have that place? Anything you would like to add?
Yeah, to share with you the experts from the meetings that we had from people from IITs and IIMs and people, researchers like me who are giving advice to the government of how to make around policies surrounding it. One major thing that came up was when it is being taken up centrally, it is when coaching institutes like yours and ISTD etc has to take it up as active coaching,
Hmm.
because unless they do it, unless we have coaches who coach on spirituality at work, who understand the subject and coach people, mentor people widely, it is only then spirituality can contribute to institution building. So
Yeah,
coaching is very much vital if we have to put the system in place.
sure, sure. Yeah, thank you, Anshul. Welcome back, Dr. Rao. Are you able to hear us?
Yeah, I am extremely sorry. I think we lost almost half an hour of with this technology, and
No
I think we have not lost our spirit. I think
problem.
I'm
Yes,
happy to see
absolutely.
Anshul. I would have, in fact, I would have mentioned everyone to read her book on
Yes.
spirituality at workplace, and that's a very
So please
good
accept
contribution.
my gratitude and apologies. If I would have gone somewhere wrong, I told them, I'm your student. So
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, we lost a lot of time, and I don't mind staying beyond, but I think it's testing the patience of your listeners.
No problem.
Jaywal, just go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. No,
We
no
started our
problem.
conversation with the first question.
Yes, yes, yes. So, Dr. Rao, we are exactly at the same point where Anshul has just mentioned, and you mentioned about the spirit. So you always say, Professor Rao, that institutions and organizations have spirit, and we need people with purpose, with commitment, with readiness to sacrifice. So, would you like to throw some light on the purpose, role of purpose in institution building?
Well, actually, one thing that distinguishes institutions from organizations, if at all one has to look at, is the what we call as superordinate goals, which institutions have, not ordinary goals. They are not commercial entities.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, some of the institutions have made them more commercial. But education, health, all these are meant for service. Any
yeah,
institution that starts with a purpose,
yeah,
and I think if it is constantly communicated, that gives the spirit. I remember when I joined IIM Ahmedabad, I think every institution I worked had a purpose, and I was very much touched by them, irrespective of the period of your working. Like in IIM Ahmedabad, I had the good fortune of listening to Ravi Mathai, who was the first full-time director after Vikram Sarabhai. He said the purpose, the institute mission, I mean, different terms are used. The mission of this institute or the purpose of this institute is to professionalize management in all sectors of the society. 1973 December, till today I remember this. And at every point, whether we are talking to doctors or we are talking to NGOs, besides, of course, managers from corporate sector, we will talk of professionalizing management. It inspired so many people. I'm sure you heard of a person like Vijay Mahajan, who did his postgraduate program at IIM Ahmedabad and started Pradhan, meant to professionalize management in not-profit sector. So it is this mission of the institute, the purpose of the institute. Or another person who didn't want to apply, who didn't want to go for loans and started an idli factory, which feeds so many people. Or another person who decided to forego. I mean, once you pass through IIM, you have quite a great job, financially very remunerative and so on. Now there is another, I can tell you many stories like this. This person said, I studied in a public school because my father happened to be the deputy GM in a public sector. I was lucky to study in a public school. But what happens to millions of students who don't have an opportunity to go to public school, who are in municipal corporation schools or rural schools? Can I teach them? Can I teach them math, science, and other parts and make them like me? And he started, instead of picking up a big job, he started a very interesting organization which teaches science and maths to school children. So, the purpose inspires. While a large percentage may go for profit-oriented jobs, etc., they're a good percentage. Even those who join corporate sector, I think work with a purpose, which is value-driven and so on. There could be distinctions. So this is the beauty of purpose. Purpose gives the spirit of an institution. And quite often, if you forget that purpose, you lose the spirit. Then you start playing politics, you start working for other kind of things and so on. All good education institutions or hospitals or NGOs, all of them start with a purpose. And it is only when you move out of the purpose, means become ends, something else. Your salary becomes more important, your power becomes more important, your contacts become more important, the original purpose is forgotten. Then I think institutions falter. That is when people lose commitment because they start playing games and so on. So that is why it is very important we constantly remind people, even in an organization, of the purpose. The beauty of institutions is if you are constantly reminding people, you are getting people to be committed to a cause, and they derive a lot of spirit out of this. That is to me spiritualism. Your motivation, your strength, your energy that is derived out of a feeling that you are working for a larger purpose. I think it is. This is what, in fact, I mentioned in my book, Effective People, where I categorize people as effective, very effective, and super effective. And I found people who I defined effectiveness as discovering one's talent and using it to make a difference in the lives of others. So I have come across people who do that. Even if you do your job very well, you are an effective person. You are already an institution builder. A good professor, a good teacher in a school or a professor in an institute is already an institution builder because you are working for impacting the students. Now, this is what we require when we talk of coaching. We need to coach people, help people to remember unhappiness comes from loss of purpose. So coaching, therefore, is sometimes getting people to remind them the purpose of the institution and things like that. I mean, I can go on and on, Vijayawal, I think. So that is, I think, the beauty of purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, Professor Rao, in your mind, anybody comes as a top of the mind recall was apart from Ravi Mathai and three, four other names you have mentioned, in terms of uh, a powerful institution builder as whom you really admire, apart from all those names that you have mentioned.
I mentioned many names. Recent times, the person whom I admire most, who may not have any institution on his name, but who is an institution builder, is Abdul Kalam, Dr. Abdul Kalam.
Yeah.
I think every institution where he has worked, and he I think, lived for a cause. I can tell you many things about him. I had some interesting personal encounters with Dr. Kalam. But most impressive thing was, Vijay, what happened in Ahmedabad about a year back, the Swaminarayan set, the maps, they had almost for one full month, a lakh of people attending every day, various events in Ahmedabad. That's such a great institution. Dr. Kalam is one of the admirers of and then he quoted in his book how when he was debating about whether he should seek the second term as president or not. I think there are many such stories. I also mentioned Anil Gupta, an ordinary person. He still is living in Ahmedabad, Professor Anil Gupta is one among the professors, started Srishti, Innovation Foundation, goes to schools, so many things he does. I think to me, he's a great student. I can name innumerable number like this. I think every one of us has some component of institution building in us. We just have to recognize that. That is the most
Yes.
important thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, sir. We have one question from Anuradha. If it is okay, I can share with you.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, she mentions that how do you seamlessly bring in spirituality in organization without creating resistance from within and separating it from becoming restrictive and coloring it with traditions and rituals? So, is
Well,
there a
first
way?
thing, we have actually, I wanted to start when we began. I wanted to start with a very clear confession that I am not at all religious in the term. I separate spirituality from religion. Spirituality cuts across all religions. It deals with the spirit. And I believe every religion practically says that the God is in you. You are the God. Aham Brahma in this one, or love your neighbor as you love yourself. If you talk of you pick up any religion, or even the other day when Marshall Goldsmith talked about Buddhism, I think
Yeah,
it is ultimately discovery. You discover everything is in you, happiness, unhappiness, everything is in you. I mean, that is what it is. So if you treat spirituality in that way, separate it out from religion. In fact, as I was listening last night to Dr. Soni, I was remembering what I have learned in terms of spirituality from religions. I
mm,
remembered whatever I have learned about, let's say, Hinduism is from N.T. Ramarao, a famous film actor. From the films that he acted, various characters, whether it is Ravan or Ram or Krishna or Karna or Duryodhana, all these, I think you use it to take the goodness in him. So to me, spirit is the goodness. Even if you treat somebody as not such a good person, there is some goodness in the person. That is the most important thing that we have. That is what I acquired. From Jesuits, I was a student of Loyola College. From Jesuits, I acquired an understanding of the devotion, self-renewal. They used to conduct retreats and treat every child as and teach them a little bit of moral science. So again, the spirit of equality, spirit of commitment. Or in recent times, if you look at, I think people like Sadhguru or Sri Sri, or from Chinmaya Mission, I used to interact with Swami Chinmayananda, not too closely, but I think used to talk, listen to him. In fact, I invited him once to IIM when I was PGP chairman. That was a beautiful talk that he has given. Now, if you look at all these people, religion is one part, but I think the spirit which they talk of, the human, every one of them ultimately say it is the human being. Now, in the question that Anuradha asked in organizations, how do we? So I think we have to understand that we are working with this inner spirit of individuals.
mm,
Now, when systems become overpowering and spirit becomes, I think, like Anshul has written a very interesting sentence, a very interesting paragraph in her book. When a human being in your work, if you start feeling upset, why are you upset? Because the way you are treated. An upset human being, somebody who is unhappy, is not likely to give. So you are capturing the negative part of it and so on. That's why she talks of the role of HR in making people happy and things like that. So my suggestion would be in creating spirituality in organizations or institutions, we should differentiate. We shouldn't bring in controversial kind of issue. It's not faith. It is it's a belief in oneself. It is a belief in the power of human being. Now,
yeah,
today you look at AI. What is AI? It's an invention of the human being. It is a spirit. It can be used for destructive purposes. It can be used for constructive purposes. So I think what we need to examine in organizations is what is the positive spirit we can create in organization. What do we need to do? This needs continuous reflection, and that is where coaching. When we talk of coaching, I think one one way of looking at it is that we want you to discover, but as a coach, you are just not there, and then you are working also as a mirror. You are helping the person to discover how sometimes his or her actions could lead to some disastrous consequences for others, not by advising, but by helping the person to generate alternatives, look at what, raising simple, non-directive questions and things of that kind. I think that's what I don't know if I answered
Absolutely.
your question of Anuradha, but I think these are so many things.
Yes, yes. No, thank you, sir. That was a very, very profound answer. And we are almost on the top of our time. So instead of taking more question, if I may ask you to, if you want to give a message to all of us in terms of how to invoke spirituality in the way you have defined in in all of us as individuals, our families as an institution, our organization as an institution, and also something working towards the higher self. So, any message that you would like to give it to us as an it will leave an inspiration mark on all of us, indelible mark on all of us. So, let us know, sir.
I think the only thing that I think we are not doing enough, what we should do enough is a continuous self-renewal. We need to renew others. And by renewal, I mean often we forget the purpose for which we are living
Yeah,
and succumb to the means. Means become ends. I've observed this in organizations and institutions everywhere. You start a particular program with a purpose, the original program is forgotten, the purpose is forgotten, the program is a success. You continue doing the program because it has been a success. And you
yeah,
start counting in terms of number of participants, how much income we have earned, but forget that, look, this program is of no consequence at all. The original purpose is not being served. So my advice to everyone will, same thing happens in our lives. I think we need to constantly review, relook at our actions. How do I spend my day? How am I spending my day? How much of my time am I going to? Of course, not everything can be productive, linked to purpose, but you should be able to provide a link of everything that you do to the purpose for which, whatever is the purpose, short term, long term, and so on. We use a tool called Who Am I? I'm sure most of your
yeah.
listeners would be using this, and we help people to recognize sense of efficacy, for which we say, are you goal driven? So you need to constantly look at your goals. Then number two, once you're goal driven, are you aware of your resources? You know what you are. Take a piece of paper and identify all your what inner strengths that you have. I'm sure. And if necessary, you ask people. Then we say that, are you proactive? Take initiative. Okay, and so on and so forth. I think this self-renewal, periodically asking yourself, who am I? What am I doing? Am I using my time productively? Is it making a difference in the lives of somebody? At least in my family, in people around, for myself, and so on. I think that is what I would recommend. Periodic self-renewal uh, and relaunching yourself. Like I think last night, I think I think it was Dr. Soni who said you relaunch every day, or it was maybe Dr. Goldsmith. One of them said this. I forget. I only heard parts of it. You keep relaunching yourself in the sense renew, review, and use each other as resources. Every human being is a resource. I mean, that is what I would say. I'm sorry. I think we lost quite a bit of time with this technology. I hope whatever little we talk, 15, 20 minutes, that is of some use, whichever.
No, definitely, Dr. Rao. As I said, that all 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 the wisdom from you, whatever moments that we get from you, is definitely like a gift to all of us. So
Oh,
thank you
that's
for
great.
gracing the occasion. Thank you for joining, and also Anshul, I would like to thank you and for taking the whole piece, complementing very well into the context today. We congratulate you for the work that you are doing, and also all the best for your next book as well. And we wish everyone who joined today to thank you for your patience and We deeply appreciate you joining. Just to let you know that at Kocharya, the ICW celebrations will continue. So we just said that apart from this knowledge and wisdom sharing sessions, those of you who would like to join coaching or would like to also experience the enhancement. So we also have some financial benefit. Our founder Ram has kindly, permitted that if anybody is willing to sign up for our courses, you can reach out to support@kocharya.com, and we will have a financial benefit as well to all of you. So that's something towards the end I would like to share. There are some discounts on offer. So do let us know your interest, and we definitely would like to see you again tomorrow. And Professor Rao, we are in deep gratitude to you and look forward to meeting you on the next time again soon.
Thank you. Thanks for that.
Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Once again, sorry, apologies for
No problem. No problem, sir.
technology.
No, that's okay. No problem, sir. Okay. Yeah. Bye bye, sir.
All the best. Bye.